I'm Sarah Dawkins from Sarah Dawkins Essential Health. On the 7th of January 2023, we hosted the Heal Yourself online summit, where 15 experts in self-healing kindly gave up their time to impart their wisdom to audiences watching live on Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. We've taken all of these live videos and made them available to you here, free on YouTube, for everyone to benefit. I hope you enjoy this and find it helpful. If you want to watch the rest of the speakers, you can do so here. Please don't forget to like and comment on this video and subscribe to my channel. If you want to find out more about myself, my journey and the journey of others through self-healing, you can visit my website at www.sdessentialhealth.com, and you can find my book Heal Yourself on Amazon. Links are in the description below. Thank you for your time. This is a clip of Michael Mintz, a success coach from Dallas, Texas. Michael's talking about relationships.
Okay, I'm happy to. In fact, I want to start by telling my story, but I do want to refer to something Roman said as well, that my whole story and everything I'm going to talk about has actually come as a result of me learning to love myself first. I will tell you that my wife and I just celebrated December the 30th. We just celebrated 46 years of marriage. Yes, we got married at 4. No, I'm just joking. We got married at 19. And I'd love to be able to tell you that all 46 years of those years has been amazing, but they haven't been. Okay. I can tell you, thankfully, that the last 21 years have absolutely been amazing. And in fact, that's what I'm here to talk to you about is the 4 habits that we've created in our marriage, that we've created in our relationship, the 4 habits of successful relationships. In order for me to be able to do that well, I really kind of need to go back and tell you that I was doing really, really well in my career when our marriage fell apart, okay? I was having a lot of success in my career. I was having a lot of success at work. I was feeling very good about where I was headed. And in fact, part of the problem was I was spending so much energy and so much time on my career, I wasn't spending any time on my marriage, on my relationship with my wife, and really even on my family. And so as a result, unfortunately, 21 years ago, in fact, last December, 21 years ago to the month, I decided to walk out on a pregnant wife with 3 girls. And yes, you are correct. I am a recovering assholic, because what kind of asshole walks out on their pregnant wife with 3 girls? But I did, and the reason I did it because I was so very angry. I was so unhappy. And as Roman referred to, the biggest reason that I was angry and I was unhappy was because I didn't love myself. Unfortunately, I didn't understand that at that time. And so my wife, I was putting all of that responsibility to making me feel loved on my wife. She was having to bear the weight of making me feel the way I wanted to feel. And here's what I want you to understand before I get started on these 4 habits. You are the only person who can make you feel loved or make you feel happy. It's not your spouse's responsibility. It's not your partner's responsibility. It's no one's responsibility for you to be in a place where you love yourself and you feel happy and you feel that you're in a great place. That all falls on you. But I will tell you that my wife and I have discovered 4 habits that every relationship needs to practice in order to more ensure that our relationships are strong, that our relationships are doing for us what we actually want relationships to do, right? So So that kind of starts with, here's my first habit number one. Habit number one is you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan for your marriage. You have to have a plan for your relationship. Okay? And listen to me. A lot of people that I talk to, I've been mentoring and coaching people for almost 20 years. In fact, 20 years ago, most of the people I were mentoring and coaching was on relationship issues. And a lot of men would come to me. In fact, most of the people, about 90% of the people I was coaching early on 20 years ago were men. And I would have 4 or 5 men at one time that I was coaching different times of the week. Okay. And every meeting, 100% of the time, every meeting I would have with them, I would give them a few minutes to tell me what's going on. Why are you having problems? What's the problem? And I would listen intently, okay, to them tell me, okay, typically how it goes, they would tell me how their spouse was all the problem. They're the whole problem. I just don't understand. My wife is a bitch. I heard that so many times. I come home and tell my wife, okay? And look, here's the problem. I would ask them, I say, let me ask you a question. What is your plan for your marriage? And every time, guys, 100% of the time, I would get this blank stare. Okay, I would get this blank stare from them. Okay, and I would say, "What's your plan for your career? And what's your plan for your finances?" Okay, and every time, okay, it came back. I don't really have a plan. Okay, so one of the most extraordinary things you're ever going to do to yourself in your relationship, okay, for yourself in your relationship, is to sit down and to make a plan together. Now, listen, I know this is going to sound bizarre. Listen to me. I know, but one of the most fun and even a little bit intimate things you're going to do with your spouse and with your partner, with whoever you're in a relationship with, is to sit down and make a plan for your relationship. Things like, decide on what your relationship is going to look like, right? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What are the kind of things that you want to enjoy together? What are your friends going to look like? What? Where do you want to hang out? Where do you want your relationship to go? How do you want to grow in your relationship, right? As soon as my wife and I sat down and started making a plan and creating even some goals for our relationship, right? Everything started to change, right? Let me ask you a question. If I were to ask you, do you have a 1-year plan for your marriage or for your relationship? What would the answer be? Okay. I want to encourage you. Here's what I want to encourage. I want you to sit down with your partner and spouse, and I want you to have a 5-year plan. Where are you going? What do you want to accomplish? What kind of relationship do you want to have? Where do you want to live? Do you want to have kids? Okay, if you have kids, where do you want them to go to school? Okay, what kind of vacations are you going to go on? One of the most fun things we do every year is we sit down and decide, where do we want to go on vacation together, all by ourselves, and what do we want to do when we're there? Listen to me. One of the most magical things I've ever done in my life is to be on the same page with my spouse as it has to do with what is our plan. We started having discussions. We started making plans. We started making goals. Okay, I encourage you to sit down together in a quiet place. Sit down together and make a plan for your marriage. Okay, I'm telling you, it's going to absolutely radically change your life. Here's habit number 2. Okay, now I will tell you, this was a little bit more of an uphill battle for my wife than it was for me, okay, because I'm chatty. I'm very chatty, okay? But habit number 2 is you need to talk together regularly, okay? You need to talk together regularly. Listen to me. Most couples I talk to don't talk much, if at all, okay? You've seen these couples. You know what I'm talking about. You go out to dinner, right? You go out to dinner and you look over there and both of them got their phone and they're scrolling through their phone and not a single word is spoken through the whole dinner, okay? That's not what we're talking about here. That's not the kind of successful relationships we're talking about here. We're talking about, we want to be able to sit down and talk about regularly things like finances, children, family goals, dreams, Okay, where do we want to work? What's our career going to be like? Okay, and support each other in those things. And then also talk about your relationship. Okay, what's working, what's not working. I like it when you do this. I'm not so crazy about when you do that. Okay, all right. Let's face it, we do not spend enough time talking together. Yeah, we talk to our peers at work, right? We can go on a long conversation talking about the football game with the guys at work. It can last for an hour, right? Ladies, you can have long conversations about talking and gathering information about people and things because you got to be in the know, right? You can spend hours talking to other people, but when it's time to sit down and have a conversation with our partner, with our spouse, it begins to get a little difficult, right? Right? We struggle to have great conversations. Listen, the biggest part of the problem is that neither one of you, listen, neither one of you feel that what's important to you is important to the other. In other words, you've stopped putting each other first, right? Okay, the conversation doesn't go well because you're not talking about the things that you want to talk about to each other, right? Let me ask you a question. Do you remember when you started dating this person? Do you remember? Do you remember the kind of conversations you had, especially guys? Listen for a moment. Do you remember that everything you talked about was about them? Everything you talked about, right? You want to know what makes them tick. You want to know how they feel about this, how they feel about that. And you would talk for hours and hours, right? Because we're trying to get to know them, right? We're trying to get to know each other. We're trying to figure out, am I going to like this person? Do they like me? Okay. And that's how relationships get started. Well, listen to me. That's also how relationships stay strong. Okay, we've stopped talking. We got to go back to talking again, right? It's time to sit down and re-engage with each other. Here's the key word: re-engage regularly, right? Okay, listen, and guys, the goal is not to fix, is not to sit down and fix anything. That's not the goal. Every time guys sit down, they want to fix something. But the goal is not to fix anything. The goal is to get to know each other again, to understand each other again, to connect again. Listen to me. When we feel understood, things are in a much better place, right? When we feel understood, that's like right up there against I feel loved, right? Because really all of us want is to be loved and understood. Listen, if I was to ask you, what does every human being want most in the world? You know what the answer to that is? It's significance. And the way we feel significance is when somebody stops long enough to ask a question and then just listen to what the answers is, because not because they're wanting to have a conversation, but more because they want to understand us, right? When you pursue someone, when you're pursuing someone, when you're dating and you're pursuing someone, you want to listen, you want to know, you want to learn. And that's what I'm telling you we have to go back to doing. We have to go back to pursuing each other, right? We have to go back to, I want to know about you. I want to know what's important to you. I want to know what you love. I want to know what you care about. I want to know how you feel, right? Find a time that you can both sit down and start talking again. Okay, if you want to make it even better, sit down and make a list of the things you want to talk about, so that if it kind of gets in a little bit of lull, then you can go to the next question. Okay, all right. Habit number three. Habit number three. Okay, make time for intimacy. And the guys go, yes, that's the one I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about intimacy. Listen, I want to read you a quote. Passion is the quickest to develop and the quickest to fade away. Intimacy develops more slowly, and commitment even more slowly. Okay, what would your answer be if I was to ask you what's the opposite of romance? What's the opposite of romance? Well, when I tried to Google and find out what that was on Google, they had a hard time telling me. I couldn't find a great answer. But here's what I'm going to tell you my answer is. My answer to what is the opposite of romance, it's boredom. Okay, the opposite of romance is boredom. When there's no romance and there's no intimacy, left. When there's no romance and no intimacy, boredom ensues. Okay, and when we become bored with each other, that's when problems start, guys. Well, how do we become bored with each other? Well, we stop pursuing each other. This is why you see couples, again, like I said, sitting at dinner and nobody's talking, right? This is not how relationships are supposed to look, right? Romance is about curiosity. Curiosity. Romance is about intrigue, okay? And intimacy is about being genuinely interested in each other. I'm going to tell you what my definition of romance is. I'm going to give it to you. I love it. And I'm very proud of it, just so you know, okay? Romance is a deep, lifelong fascination with who they are, who she is, who my wife is, who Deborah is, okay? It's a lifelong fascination with who they are, how they think, and what's important to them, okay? If we started spending more time finding out about who they are, how they think, and what's important to me, I'm telling you guys, romance ensues. Romance gets kicked back up. Okay? Go back to pursuing each other. Make your mission in life. Make your mission in life to understand them. Become a student of your spouse. A student, right? Start studying them. What do they love? What do they care about? What's important to them? Okay, what makes them excited, right? What makes them cry? What makes them emotional, right? Learn what makes them feel loved. Okay? Ooh, that's a good one. Learn what? What makes them feel loved? What makes them feel honored? What makes them feel cherished? What makes them feel respected, right? Remember when you first started going out together and the spontaneity just happened, right? I mean, it's a part of the dating process, right? You're just very spontaneous. You go on crazy fun dates, create wild adventures, right? To enjoy your time with each other. Now, one of the great crazy adventures I took my wife on was I took her out to this place called Fort Phantom Lake in the middle of the night, and I told her ghost stories. She got so scared, I had to take her back. So you want to be careful and not, you don't want to scare your wife, and I mean your date, and have to take her back home. Okay, so listen to me. The result of all these crazy dates is that you learn about each other. You learn about what makes them laugh and what makes them cry, what they're passionate about, right? What makes them emotional again. What are their lifelong dreams and aspirations? Do you know what your spouse's lifelong dream and aspiration is? We should know, right? Shouldn't we know what our spouse's lifelong dream is? What your partner's lifelong aspiration is? What's the most important to them as far as feeling like they fulfilled their purpose? Okay, look, I understand. I know you're busy. I know we're busy. We're busy at our house too, right? We're busy. Okay, there's no extra time and there's sometimes no extra money for you to go on expensive romantic getaways. But here's what I want you to know. Spontaneity has nothing to do with time or money. No. Spontaneity, okay, is created. Spontaneity creates romance in marriage because it shows to your spouse that you're thinking about them. Okay. And guys and girls, that's not that hard to do. Listen to me. Spontaneity creates romance in marriage because it shows to your spouse, hey, I've been spending some time thinking about this and thinking about you, and I came up with this to be spontaneous. Okay? And listen, if it's goofy, if it's crazy, if it's funny, if it makes no sense, it doesn't matter. What's important is that you've been spending time, that they've been spending time trying to come up with a way to be spontaneous with you. Look, a little spontaneity can cause some amazing things to occur in your relationship, okay, in your romance. Intimacy does not have to be complicated, okay? In fact, the less complicated intimacy is, the better it's received. Let me give you a few examples. Number one, letting a kiss last a little longer than normal. Not much, doesn't take much effort. Letting a kiss last a little, you know how long they normally last. Like my wife likes really short kisses. Okay. So letting a kiss last a little bit longer than normal. Here's another one. Surprising your spouse by making dinner. Guys, if your wife is the cook. Ladies, if your husband's the cook, then you surprise him with dinner. There's another. Planning a weekday trip to the movie with no kids. No kids. Here's another one. Going out of your way to physically touch one another. Now, I'm not talking about inappropriately. No, listen to me. Because that says something completely different. I'm talking about going out of your way to physically touch someone so that it says, I just want you to know, I love you with all my heart. I love you with all my heart. Okay, and that's not touching private parts. Pull that off. Okay, listen to me. Here's another one. Grabbing and holding your spouse's hand in public. I see very few people doing that anymore. Okay, grabbing and holding your spouse's hand. Look at here, snuggling together. Yes, guys, snuggling together. It's okay if your kids gag. That's okay. It doesn't matter. Snuggling together. Okay, here's another. A timely, well-worded text message. I tell you something. One of the greatest things my wife does for me is just out of the blue, I'll get this text message from her. And one of the ones I remember the most is she says, I just want you to know you're absolutely the most amazing man I've ever known. Well, you can imagine how that made me feel. Pretty damn special, right? Pretty dang special. Okay, here's my favorite. It's my favorite, just so you know. Write or draw love messages on your spouse's mirror, vanity mirror, right? Write or draw love messages on your spouse's vanity mirror with dry erase markers. Now you say, why use dry erase markers, right? Well, because there may be some you want to erase for your children see them. Right. That's one of the greatest things I do. One of the greatest things, my wife loves it when I leave her a special love message with some little goofy ass drawing I've made of flowers and hearts and whatever. Listen to me. That says I love you. It says, so we both keep dry erase markers in our vanity drawer so that when we get the feeling, we just we whip out another drawing, another love message, right? Okay, listen to me. Stop thinking there's nothing left for you to discover about your spouse, because you're wrong. Okay, because if a year's gone by, then there's new things for you to discover. And ours was like 22 years had gone by, right? Okay, there's new things for you to discover. Listen, go back to pursuing your spouse. All right, go back to wanting to know everything about them. Romance and marriage can be more meaningful and more intimate than dating ever was. Okay? All right, that brings us to the fourth habit. And really, for me, probably the most important habit. I mean, having a plan to me is like incredibly important. But just underneath that, probably this one is to me the most important. And here's what it is. It's learning to love unconditionally. Now, we hear that word a lot, unconditional love, unconditional love. And I'll be honest with you, I never had a clue what that meant. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna read you this, and then we're gonna talk about it in a minute. But I'm gonna try to demystify what it means to have unconditional love for your spouse. Okay, this is a quote by Dr. Emerson Eggerichs. Here's what he said: women are made to want and expect love. Men are made to want and expect respect. It's tough for a man to love a woman when he feels disrespected. And it's just as tough for a woman to respect a man when she doesn't feel loved. Okay? Often we focus on our own needs and completely overlook the other person's needs. Listen to me. Love and respect are the primary emotional needs for both men and women. Both. Okay? Making them, listen to me, making them as necessary as air and food. That's how necessary they are. Husbands are made, listen to me, ladies, husbands are made to be respected. They need respect. They require respect. Respect is how they see the world in which they live. So a husband's idea of loving his wife is to respect her. Okay, that's all he knows. So when he's trying to love his wife, when he's trying to love his partner, spouse, he's trying to respect her, which makes sense, right? Because that's how he's made. That's what he desires most, right? So he's respecting his spouse. Unfortunately, men, it's just not what your spouse wants. They want to be loved. Okay, but the opposite is true for wives. They're made to love and need love. And love is how they see and feel the world in which they live. So the wife's idea of loving her husband, is to love him, right? When what he wants is and desires most is to be respected. So she's giving him love when he wants to get respect, and he's giving her respect when what she wants to get is love. And so we have this relationships that are going in a vicious cycle. He's respecting her and she's loving him, and nobody's getting what they want, which is how my wife and I wound up where we were. Okay. As men, so I'm going to start with you guys. As men, we must understand that we don't always have to fix or solve our wives' problems. Okay? Listen to me. Loving your wife isn't pulled off by fixing the problems. Not even close. Okay? You'll take a giant leap forward if you'll just start listening and showing her, listen to me, listen to these words, listening and showing her empathy and understanding. Understanding. She wants you to love her unconditionally. Okay? Men, when women ask, do you love me? Okay, listen, men, this is what I'm going to give you right here, what you paid for. When women ask you, do you love me? They're not asking for information. No, she's asking for reassurance, for unconditional love. Do everything you can to let her know that you're still committed to her for as long as you both shall live. Let me say that again. Do everything you can to let her know that you're still committed and in this marriage for as long as you both shall live. That's what she wants to understand. Okay, let's talk about what that means, unconditional love, for a second. Okay, I explain it this way. It's loving your wife for free, okay, with no expectation of anything in return. What? I have a lot of men go, what the hell? No, that's not possible. Yes, listen to me. It's loving your wife for free with no expectation of anything in return. Now, I'll just tell you, when I tell this to men, a lot of men tell me, Mike, that's not possible. That's not possible. And I tell them, and the reason I say this now, the reason I say it's impossible or not possible is because very few of us love that way. Most of us love with an expectation. Okay, most of us do. But I'm going to prove to them, I'm going to prove to you that we are capable of loving for free, unconditionally. I'm going to tell you how. When my daughter was born, I was in the delivery room. And after she was born, they cleaned her off and they bundled her up and they handed her to me. And at that moment, what did she have to do for me to love her? Well, the answer is absolutely nothing. I even get emotional about it still today. Okay, that at that moment, all she had to do was breathe. And I'm loving her with every ounce of my being. There's nothing as a father I wouldn't do. No mountain I wouldn't climb. No burning house I wouldn't run into, right? I loved her unconditionally. Listen to me. What happens is we grow up and we start adding expectations. We start adding expectations, right? Okay, listen, love works the same way in relationships. Okay? Listen, am I perfect at this? Am I perfect at loving my wife for free? Of course not. I mess up all the time. Okay? But my wife sees me working hard at it. She does. She sees me working hard at it. I work hard at making her feel loved. Unconditionally. I work hard at making her feel loved for free. Okay? With no expectation of anything in return. Okay, ladies, let's talk about respect for a minute. When my wife and I started going on this journey, she asked me, "So is that what you want me to do? You want me to respect you for free?" I go, "Do you want me to love you for free?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Yes. I want you to respect me for free." Right? Okay. Right. But what I wanted and needing, she was. Oh, so I'm backing up. So I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything. She wanted me to. She was trying to love me because my wife is a great. She loves. She knows how to love. She does. But she had no idea how to respect. Okay, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's because she didn't have a good example at home. Her mother did not respect her father. Okay, and was not very good at showing respect to her father. Okay, so she left there. Okay, without really a good understanding of what it meant to respect your spouse. Okay, ladies, listen to me. When men hear criticism, even if it's positive, it doesn't take long for it to be interpreted as contempt. It doesn't take long for it to be interpreted as contempt for who we are as men. No man feels affection for a woman who appears to have contempt for him. Okay, the key here, ladies, the key here is to show him love by showing unconditional respect. And I know, all of a sudden, I know what you're thinking. Okay, I know what you're thinking. It came up between my wife and I. Listen, I know what you're thinking. Well, what if he hasn't earned my respect yet? Okay, well, that's just the point. That's the point. When you love or respect someone unconditionally or for free, you don't do it because they deserve it. You do it because you love them unconditionally for free. You show respect towards your husband, right? You respect him in ways that mean something to him. Okay? Most wives don't intend to be disrespectful, but it feels and sounds that way sometimes to their husbands. Listen, right or wrong, men interpret their world through the filter of respect. Ladies, I'm going to say it again. Right or wrong, men interpret their world through the filter of respect. Ladies, a gentle voice and calm body language can do more for your marriage than you can possibly imagine. In conclusion, number one, go back to sitting down together and making a plan. Sit down together and make a plan. Okay, number two, start pursuing each other and taking time for your spouse again. Okay, number three, add spontaneity back to your marriage because it shows your spouse that you're thinking about them. Okay, number four, decide to love and respect each other for free without expecting anything in return. You guys are amazing. You can do this. If I can do this, listen to me. If a recovering alcoholic can do this, you can do this.